musicians have a very different approach when it comes to their mindset around careers, which directly affects the success that they have along their career paths. How they use their experiences, both positive and negative, as learning experiences to boost them further in life is an important skill for those wanting to pursue a music career. Through examining the classical guitarists Dr. Paul Svoboda and Joel Woods, we are able to get a closer look at how resilient and growth-based mindset is integral in creating a successful music career. Paul Svoboda grew up in a very music-centered family, with his mother and father both being classical musicians. From a young age, Paul recalls feeling a connection to the guitar when he first held it and played a D chord. He was self-taught up until the age of 24, when he was introduced to classical guitar. He completed his Bachelor of Music at UQ under Isolde Schaup, then travelled overseas to study with Stepan Ruch in the Czech Republic. Both teachers came with very different takes on music, which was useful to Paul to have two different influences.
With one teacher, there would be limitations, but with another teacher, there would be everything's possible. And both of those things have to exist for us to eventually realise what we can do ourselves. As musicians, we have to learn our limitations, and we have to learn courage, absolute courage to just have a go at things, because, great things never come from comfort zones.
Paul approached his career from the beginning with a driven and passionate mindset, demonstrating one of Bridgestock's 6 important career capabilities: disciplinary agility, especially in the establishment stage of his career. After completing his Bachelor of Music, Paul received a travelling foundation scholarship and completed his doctorate in Finland. Currently, Paul now teaches at various schools and runs many guitar ensembles, for example, the Aurora Guitar Ensemble. By running ensembles that play his compositions, Paul is taking advantage of the significant gap in the market of group guitar music. This demonstrates entrepreneurial career theory, as Paul is using the gap in the market as an opportunity to create a career for himself, and by creating guitar ensembles in each school he teaches at, he provides himself with a steady and constant supply of new students wanting to learn from him. Joel Woods studied his Bachelor of Music at the Brisbane Griffith Conservatorium, but still felt as though there was a lot more to learn, so he used his Masters as an opportunity to explore music further. He began to teach both privately and at a secondary school while studying, and runs various guitar ensembles, along with conducting, performing in various groups, and composing for guitar ensembles and solo banjo. Similarly to Paul, Joel approaches his career with a driven and passionate mindset. In the establishment stage of his career, he is shown to demonstrate one of Bridgestock's 6 important career capabilities: discipline-specific depth. Additionally, Joel portrays disciplinary agility in terms of bringing knowledge from the various other instruments he plays, like mandolin and banjo, back to classical guitar and vice versa, in order to approach concepts and techniques from different perspectives and learn from each instrument. For Paul, he feels that the highlights of his career would be performing with his wife as a guitarist and flautist duo, all the while constantly expanding the repertoire for the instrument combination with his own compositions. Another highlight of Paul's career is realizing that by changing and modifying his personal approach to technique, he was able to play faster and more fluently. Additionally, leading ensembles such as Aurora is another joy of his.
But just going down to Adelaide even once a year, and you get to be in these amazing venues with terrific players, it makes you feel that you've made a difference. And I think when you feel that as part of your career, that's a real sense of happiness.
This demonstrates Mihai Csikszentmihalyi's theory of flow state, being completely involved in an activity for its own sake. The ego falls away, time flies. Every action, movement, and thought follows inevitably from the previous one, like playing jazz. Your whole being is involved, and you're using your skills to the utmost. Through these moments in Paul's career, he has been operating purely on his love of music and being able to devote himself completely to the instrument, not only for his own benefit, but for the benefit of his students and his audience as well. One of the lowest points in Paul's career would be the injury he sustained to his right hand in the pursuit of better technique and faster playing. This was a large roadblock in Paul's career, as he was, at the time, preparing for one of his many doctoral recitals, and so to sustain such an injury that he was told by doctors would prevent him from pursuing a career in classical guitar was detrimental. It took an immense amount of resilience for Paul to continue, and he ended up redesigning his whole right-hand technique. By remaining vigilant and modifying his right-hand technique to better suit his healing hand, Paul found he was able to play certain things better than before, with more speed and confidence.
And I think part of that was because I didn't keep myself in the one square. this is how you play classical guitar, and that's the only way to play classical guitar. It was a case of, okay, that's the traditional way to play classical guitar, but by gosh, we can still get the notes in other ways. And it might be a little bit weird, but if you make it your own natural technique, then it becomes second nature.
Paul was incredibly resilient during this time, demonstrating immense identity resilience, making sure that he was inevitably able to return to the guitar with a new technique and mindset. Joel mentions the highlights of his career would be conducting the 2020 Festival Orchestra in Adelaide.
The Festival Orchestra in Adelaide in 2020 was pretty awesome to be up in front of that many players and just to be controlling the sound, to be able to work with the sound. We rehearsed for a week to develop the sound and work with the players. Was really amazing to hear that end result after just a week of rehearsals together.
This demonstrates a very similar mindset to Paul of flow state. Joel stated that the lowlights of his career have been when he has taken on too much work or felt underprepared for a certain performance. In dealing with the disappointment of this, Joel demonstrates resilience by using every opportunity as a learning opportunity and motivation to do better in the future.
For me, it's kind of a motivation to work harder and try and approach it a different way next time and see if I can do better. It's kind of a motivator. For a while, I'll mope around and then I try and learn from those experiences. I try and work harder for the next opportunity that comes up, I guess.
Joel demonstrates Dr. Lucy Hone's 3 secrets of resilient people, choosing carefully where they select their attention, focusing on what they can manage and accepting on what they can't, and reframing his experiences. This turns them into learning opportunities and succeeding where others have failed by going beyond those immediate problems and barriers. Both Paul and Joel agree that the bulk of sustaining yourself financially through a music career is through teaching, while things like performing and composing are more related to sustaining yourself artistically. Both guitarists take a very linear employment approach to their careers, teaching and conducting ensembles and orchestras in order to sustain themselves financially, and have a similar subjective career perspective as well. Both see teaching as a very satisfying and fulfilling career, as well as a learning experience in itself, to learn something from each student and a new way to approach how a student learns.
I think you have to be out there a little bit, show a bit of personality, be very encouraging. Don't give hollow compliments. In fact, first lessons with new students, I say, you won't get a compliment from me unless you deserve it. However, I'll always be very positive and supportive of you. And you build up that nice camaraderie, that nice teacher-student supportive relationship.
Paul approaches the importance of music and musicians by justifying the values of music through consumption, a social science perspective, suggesting that many people use music as a way to distract themselves, to relieve boredom, or to create a positive mood, alleviating negative feelings.
You could just have to say to people, when you wake up in the morning, what do you listen to? And most people would then answer, I put on the radio, I listen to music of some sort. When you get in your car, what do you listen to? I put on the radio, I listen to music. And so on. And so, it's a simple comment, can you imagine your society without music or art in it?
Joel approaches this from both a social science perspective and through justification of value via scientific facts, going into depth about the social benefits of music, not only for students and learning an instrument during school, but the general public as well, building a sense of community and alleviating negative feelings through the distraction of playing an instrument.
Yeah, and across all kinds of different genres as well, from folk music to classical. It can be therapeutic for many, but through the playing of music, kind of a distraction as well.
It is clear that a lot of sustaining a music career, both financially and artistically, is about the mindset you approach your career with, especially in regards to setbacks and challenges you will inevitably face.
There will always be mistakes in every performance. Don't get caught up chasing a perfect performance, because often that results in more mistakes. We put so much stress into achieving that perfect performance. Let the mistakes happen, and quite often that will result in a much freer performance. You'll set you free.
Teaching is integral to sustaining oneself, as well as networking and making a name for yourself in the music community, to find yourself work, but also to look for hidden opportunities, demonstrating Bridgestock's career development strategies, going in with your eyes open and finding gaps in the market.
You will have to just accept that the main income will be through teaching. Get good results in your undergrad, perform where you can, just get a good reputation, try to network as politely as you can. Just go to concerts, make friends with the people who are performing, and then eventually you'll get recommendations for teaching jobs.